Welcome to the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club.
So a flat start today as the power is going down, and we are in with Anna Embry pushing through that group. So we are back in with Gilson on the left hand side of your screen, and on the right hand side of your screen we have the chasing group. So the chasing group have just gone through the finish banner of lap 1, so they are 1.1 kilometers behind as we see an attack go from Jojo Bauer off the front. She's pushed hard, so we can see Bauer and Gilson tapping along the pace really comfortably at the front of this race. This effort has been outstanding as she sees that yellow banner in front of her. Rebecca Gilson is going to take the win today. An outstanding effort on this last lap and an individual effort.
So hello and welcome to MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club 2 Qualifier Race number 3, our women's race on 16th of October 2022. My name's Matt Payne. I'm back bringing you all of the action here in our women's race. And for those of you wondering, no, we don't have Emma with us today. Emma busy on other duties for full speed events, I'm afraid. So you're going to have me all of the race long. And if it's anything like our men's race that we've just seen, it's going to be an absolute cracker because we are getting in towards the sharp end of the month, because qualifier race number 3 gets more and more pressure as you go in to get ready for the finals. And this course is going to aid that as well, because this course is one of our favourites when it comes to racing. We are on the Bahrain route, and as you can see, we have 4 main climbs per lap. And we do 4 laps. That gives us a total elevation of 440 metres. Not the biggest elevation, but one of the most aggressive race routes. Each lap is 8.9k, and we come around really, really quickly. And one of the key parts of this route is actually from the climb number 4 that finishes at 6.7k into the lap. That final 2.2k into the finish, and then that little ramp up into the finish to start what is the first climb is always critical. So it'll be very interesting to see who takes this on, who is going to be able to lead this through. We've got a great field of riders. So in category 1, we've got 30 riders taking to the start line, with the teams from Spartan Obstacles, the CM team and the last Colombianas in there. For Spartan Obstacles, Cabedo, Van Heuling, the big names in there with Fua. But we'll see whether they're going to be taking on the individual riders. In category 2, 21 riders with Golden Light in there. We've got Team Fitness 10 Whooshers and Cycle Zone Ladies 1. Don't forget, of course, individual riders like Chinelli, Antico and Jarioni also going to be in that mix. Who will take that out? Well, not going to be long to find out. Category 3, well, again, another great race for 25 riders in that. And in that battle, don't forget, we've got the Climber Girls team, the ever-present Climber Girls. Some race categories and some race leagues often have a prize for the ever-present. Well, the Climber Girls always put in a strong team. Gerardo, Gallego, Barco and Ochoa going to be taking the team total. But, of course, it's going to be really interesting once they come through and head out on to the course. And, of course, when we go into our finals, which is when things get very spicy indeed. So here we go. Taking a little bit of a look at our race route once again, and you can see it is all about the bumps. There is very little flat in this course anywhere. What sections there are minimal, and that means that you've got to be a really fluid rider, a really flexible rider, and one who can respond to those changes in position. Our riders lining up down on the grid, and we're going to be down with them very shortly. Don't forget, of course, you can catch up with all the results on the MyWhoosh web pages at mywhoosh.com with results. And, of course, we will be bringing you all details. You can get on there to join in the events and the entries. But this, one of our standard courses, the Bahrain route, here on the Sunday Race Club with me, Matt Payne. We're down on the start line. We're just ticking in to those final 30 seconds or so to go, 20 seconds to go. And we're in with Catherine Fua. This is all about getting a fast start. It is an uphill kick off the line. That means you've got to go really hard, and you've got to accelerate up at the right time. And don't forget, if you want to get that insight from one of our regular riders, we've got, of course, Emma at Biking. Emma, you can get in touch with her. She's always happy to chat with our riders on the way through. So off from the race line we go. Our riders away here on Sunday Race Club. It's going to be a real hard kick here. Up they go. It's a very, very explosive start, and you can see Dorocchio and Menendez are leading this up. But look at that, Dagobah Shandy really kicking hard. This is all about getting into the lead group on this first climb. Remember, this is only 400 meters from the start line to the top of this climb, at the top of this bridge, before it starts to level and then drop. And we have 1K until we go into the next climb proper. But in reality, it's more like 700 meters until we start climbing again, and we start to do the run into the climb proper. So as you can see from our helicopter shot, the group are well clear and already braking. You can see that at the top right-hand side of your screen, the map showing our individual riders on that screen. And it's showing you those bunches, those overlapping discs breaking up and starting to become a much more fractured race. Over the top of the climb they go. Interesting to see that Gilson and Bauer, who you saw on that rewind soloing away, already up on the front, looking to take this clear. Remember, we have prizes for the top 5 riders in each of our race categories, and they will want to stop Gilson and Bauer soloing away. You get draft, you get assistance by staying behind another rider. Going solo is a hard way to take a win. However, that's what's happened previously on a number of our races already in this season. That makes things very much places the emphasis on the rest of the teams, the rest of the riders, to find a way to deal with that, because they won't want that to happen in not only the qualifiers, but in the finals as well. So here we go, on to the next little riser already. This is the little run that will take us in. When we hit 1.4K, we hit the climb proper, and that is as we take this left-hand turn here. So now the real big climbing begins on the next section. 700 meters of climbing here. As we come up, we're going to gain ourselves 29 meters in height. It's average gradient of about 4%, but remember that is an average, with it being flat at the bottom and the top. The steepest section in the middle will be steeper, and this has been a traditional kickoff point for riders to start to go clear. So they've got to get the pace, they've got to get the pressure on, and they've got to work really hard to pull this race out from this point onwards. So the riders up and racing. Let's see who has got the pace in with Amira Dorocchio at the moment. Who's just in the pack of Category 1 riders up at the front of this race. So here we go, Gilson tucked in this pack. Interesting to see Rebecca Gilson, Marlene Bjarhead, Maria Marin in here. We've got Elizabeth Van Heuling all tucked in here, all regular winners, all regular riders who can put the pace on, who can take the attacks to the rest of the riders. So Stefania Sanchez up there as well, first tucked in this group. Bjarhead in there. No real bigger distance opening up this pack. Looks to be a very strong pack of riders. It looks to be about 25 riders in this group at the most. And that is definitely going to be our 25 strongest riders, because this starts so critical here today. Chasing behind, you see Olivia Quintero. I think that's going to be our leader in category number 3 of here. So Quintero, Hyde, Barker, Cabanatan. In the mix, all riders who we regularly see fighting it out for the Wimber at the moment. Olivia Quintero currently sitting in 30th position with about an 8-second lead at the moment on Hyde and Barker. So our category 3 riders having to make their own way up there, not in this big pack of riders at the front, but getting the group together will be key. Then we'll see a little bit later on, I'm sure, whether the riders who are together and managed to keep that together, or whether they have managed to stay solo All that's still to come. We are coming up for 3 kilometres of our 35.6k course as the jet flies overhead. Our riders on that a little bit of a descent. It's now going to put a little riser in. Remember, we are at 3k in total. Now, underneath the wheels, we'll drop it down, and then we start to climb back up again with the next climb proper kicking in at 4 kilometres. So 1 more K till we hit the next climb. This climb gaining 24 metres in height over 800 metres. It'll be climb number 3 of 16. So the riders at the moment, one group, no definitive attack going clear as yet, but there's never a time to say it's too early for these riders. Now, Maria Santiago and Martina Gerioni in here. Gerioni are one of the real strong riders when it comes to category 2. A rider who took victory last time out, and very, very strong. First place last week, a second place the week before in category number 2. We've also got, of course, a win in the August finals in that race, a win in the qualifiers as well in August, as well as a win in July. Come in and shows she's very, very strong indeed. We're with Lutz Kimona at the moment, the rider currently in 24th position, and looks to me like that leading group of about 23 riders just up the road in the distance. This group now need to work together. Lydia Adeline in here. Adeline, a rider when we've been racing up at the start of the year onto the Yemelha feet. Had a break. Was cleared second place almost to the very last few hundred metres. So a rider who clearly is adept at climbing, but the climbs today are very different nature to that, with short, steep attacks rather than being a long, gradual effort. So our race leaders back on your screen, 4K covered, and on to our next climb up. This is the next riser on this elevated roadway. So we've got 800 meters. This will take us up to 4.8K. Another prime spot to put the pressure on. Danadega Mashandi in the mix. Gilson now comes through at 5.76.3. Is this the wind up coming? Very quickly onto her wheel. You can see Maria Marin looking to mark out Gilson. Gilson going at 4.3K to go here. So Rebecca Gilson really winding it up on the front of the race and starting to stretch it out here. So this is where the rest of the pack have to work together. If they let Gilson go, they've seen this. They know what she's capable of. They know they've got to get her back. They can't let that gap go. But Rebecca Gilson is on some storming form. It's such a rich vein. I think if she was panning for gold, she'd have hit the jackpot and the mother by now, because she's absolutely flying and has got that gap. 4 seconds is the gap from Gilson back. Jojo Bauer, Anna Emmering, Elizabeth Van Heuling, Karut Quevedo, Marlena Bjarhead, and Co. all in this group behind, and all looking now to decide what are they going to do. Are they going to work together, or are they just going to let Gilson go and wear herself out? They won't want to let that gap get too big. All the time that Gilson's on her own, remember, she's doing all of the work herself. She can't hide, she can't shelter, she can't stay out of the way of the rest of the riders. So here today, Morgan Olsen starting to continue to stretch. It looks like it's winding up nicely here. Olsen on the front, Quevedo in this mix. There's still a number of category 2 riders in here. Sanchez, Olsen in here. Sure, I've seen 1 or 2 others. Lisa Hermansen in this group, and Tico as well. So a real mix of riders, of first and second category riders. The rider who went up the road was Gilson, but are they going to pull her back? We are now at 5.5K, and no surprises. The rider who's coming across is Jojo Bauer. But what I think Bauer needs to do, it showed last week, she came after a solo. She pulled back Gilson solo, and that meant it was a one-on-one battle. I think Bauer needs to work out how she can bring across 4, 5, 6 riders who have got the advantage then against a solo rider. Can't go across super quick because she'll drop them. She has to bring them with her, so she has to gain allies and bring people together. Bauer, Hashirado and Menzies in the team. This team from Las Colombianas are going to be looking to take the battle back to Rebecca Gilson. Not the easiest thing to do in the world, though, because Gilson is so strong. So here on Sunday Race Club with me and Matt Payne. Now you can just see our race leaders clear at the front, looking good at the moment. And I think this pack is starting to put the pressure on the rest of the riders. Interestingly, that Ursula Barskaya not in with the leaders at the moment. Got to remember, because lots of people on different points in their training. So some people will be using this as a recovery ride. Some people will be on the way back and testing their legs after illness. I was out for a ride actually earlier in the week with a regular riding friend who we were out and training, and normally we'd go out and ride on the roads together. And we had a nicer, much easier ride for coffee and cake, trying to stop him from being too crazy because he's just come back from having COVID. But it's all about keeping his heart rate down, not letting him push too hard. And it's a great way to come back in a very controlled environment. Don't go do it outside on the roads where you're subject to wind and rain and traffic. Actually jump on the bike, on the turbo trainer, jump on and get all of the data. You can see what's happening. So if you are on the way back from injury or illness, it's a great way to come back. And that's what we see. We see a lot of riders who are maybe coming back in, just starting to wake the legs back up again. We're heading into the off-season of a lot of our road riders, remember, and even riders like Pauline Ferrand-Prévot, who took a world championship on the last Saturday in the Gravel World Championships, and then rode the Route this year on the Sunday. Even she's had a few days off before she starts the cyclocross campaign. So it's something that all riders tend to do at some point. Some people need a little bit more rest than others, but making sure that you're recovered before you do any big efforts. Well, information is key to know when you can go really, really hard. And so much data coming out on MyWhoosh for our riders, so much that they can look at and see how they're going, how much effort, how much is in the tank. So our riders at 7.2 kilometers covered now. They are on the run down. They've got a little bit of a kicker to come before we go in to that last run for the finish. And that little bit of a kicker coming now on our riders. You can see 3.5% just coming in. Are we going to see another push on from our leading riders? They're hovering around the front again. They've got to be really aware and stay attentive now as they come up on to this little section of the climb. We're coming up towards the end of lap number one. We're going to drop off this big sand dune, drop down out the far side, and then start to make our way in towards town and into the start of climb number one once again. The start finish line of the lap, only a few hundred meters into that climb. So here on Sunday Race Club, as we come up to the 8 kilometer marker in with Omara Del Rocchio at the moment, the rider looking good in 7th place in this pack at the moment. This pack looking strong, not letting anything go at this stage, and it's a little bit of a waiting game. Remember, we've got 4 laps in total of the 8.9k course, each lap having 110 meters of climbing, and the pack is going to need to be really on their A game, with Gilson already putting a shot out, firing a warning shot across everybody's bows. She's been on the attack once and went clear, but Maria Marin, a rider who has got better and better as the racing has continued to progress, is looking good at the moment. So Maria Marin in that pack got a huge group of second category for this stage in the racing. But this is a course that does mean that our second category riders are in with a better chance of being with the first category riders, because there is no long climb long enough to break them away. And we've seen that in previous races where when you've got a really big climb, the first category riders can put that pressure, their extra power to watts, their watts per kilo, their power to weight ratio to advantage for a long enough period to break the second category riders. At the moment, with the size of this group, anybody who's in the group behind can jump in and save themselves a lot of effort as they come in and through. So here we go. Coming around towards the end of lap number 1, the start of lap number 2. All right, let's go in and through the line and on to climb 5 of 16. Climb number 1 of lap number 2. Now, just taking a little bit of a look back, Lorenzo Ribaldo at the moment, currently sitting in 26th position. He's got Lutz Carmona for company in there, as well as Annalyn Tejeros. Santiago about 8 seconds up the road in front, and Pardini, in about 27th, in about 20 seconds down, and still plenty of riders up the road in front. So this group now coming around, they're at 8.5k, 400 meters from that line, and still working very hard at the moment. The group at the front, they're together, but now we are coming in. We're at 9.3k. This is the start of the rollover. So you can see the rollover section that's leveling off, and then the drop. Gilson pushes over the top of the climb, and you can just see Rebecca Gilson wants to see what's in people's legs. She just continues to push. So anybody who is on the back of that group, as Gilson pushed on the front and everybody responds, that's when the gaps will open. And you can see that group is more fractured behind, but I think most of the Category 1 riders making contact. Lisa Hermansen in here, Cordes Ortiza also in the mix, Sanchez in there. Lots of second category riders making that cut as well. And another regroup back together again. So here on Sunday Race Club, we're starting to see speculative attacks, a probe after probe by Gilson, looking to see what state everybody's in, looking to see if she can take the race by the scruff of the neck, but at the moment being patrolled out. Maria Marin doing a good job at the moment of marking down the rider Gilson. But we've got lots of very strong riders in this pack in both Category 1 and Category 2. At the moment, they are able to keep control and have not lost too many bodies out there. Because, of course, the more we lose people out the back of this group, the less people there are left in it to be able to answer any attacks by somebody looking to take away a solo win. So Maria Marin leading this out again, and Emery hovering around the front here. Just seeing rider after rider going up over the top of the group. We're on to our next climb here. So here we go. Next kicker, 700 meters of climbing up to the top of the climb. This climb tops out at 11k. So that's where you're going to see that same pressure, I think, trying to stretch the group out. So thin it out on the climb, get the gaps in, and then hammer it home as you go up over the top. And Maria Ortiz now can't afford to let that get. Look at that. She just sat there, waited, then decided, yep, it's fracturing a little bit. I'm going to go across to the next group. You can just see those gaps starting to open. And if there's another push over the top of the summit, I suspect we're going to see another gap open. And we may well see a number of those riders unable to stay with the pack just because of that final push over the top of the climb. So no prizes for guessing who it is who is applying the pressure at the front of the race. Gilson pushes over the top of that climb, and very much a war of attrition at the moment. The back of that pack just trying to stay in. We're seeing more riders just making contact now. The top of this climb, it's a longer summit, it's a longer plateau at the top. Climb number 1 is very much an up with very little transition into the down. This has a longer plateau. The third climb actually has a slightly downhill plateau, and that makes things a little bit more difficult. But then the climb 4, well, it's straight up and down once again, and that means it is going to be very tricky for these riders to keep in if they're not on this. Probably the easiest to find a little bit of time to get back in together, even though it is the biggest of the climbs here today. So race lead, Julie Sanchez just keeping that pace ticking over. Moreno, Marin, Cavado moving through, Menendez and Bauer in the mix, Embring in there once again. Looks like Ortiz doing a good job here in category 2, along with Julie Sanchez, Lisa Hermansen. Our second category riders mixing it up with the first category riders this course, once again showing us that the groups are not going to break up as they come in and through. So let's see how these riders keep on pushing. So here we go. And it's going to be a real interesting battle here between these riders. Let's see who is going to take it out. We're at 12 kilometers covered of the 35.6k. We still got a good leading group together here on the Sunday Race Club on MyWhoosh. So whilst our group head in towards their next climb, a few quick reminders for you. Don't forget, make sure you register early for the racing. You will need to comply with all of the race regs and requirements if you want those rides verified to be able to go into our prize money finals. All the way through qualifiers, top 5 riders in each of our race category in that prize money. When we get to the finals, our team's eligible for those big team prizes, top 5 in each race category individually, and the team prizes available as well. And it does mean that you need to have verified rides. Go into verified rides, get into the finals. Our riders needing to do that within category 1, 2, or 3, and there's always a great battle in all of our race categories. Just riding in with Olivia Quintero at the moment, just on the heels of Georgina Hyde, just in with Hyde at the moment. This duo on the climb, good watts per kilo here, 3.3 watts per kilo, pushing out 255 watts here. Georgina Hyde. Now Quintero comes up on her shoulder, goes up in front, takes a turn on the front, and if you work together, whether it's for inspiration and motivation or whether it is for aerodynamic advantage, it's going to make a big difference as you make your way in and through the finish. So now we're coming in to our next climb. We're at 13 kilometers of the course covered, which means that we are on climb number 3 of lap 2. That is essentially 7 of 16. And at the moment, we're just really waiting to see how long will it be before we see somebody like Gilson go on the front and wind it up again. I don't think it'll be long before that happens, but is she on the form that's seen her really put the pressure on everybody else? She's not managed to break away with a decisive gap yet, but it has to be on everybody's minds who's raced against her that she's a real force to be reckoned with here. She's at 6.1 watts per kilo on the front of this group. She backs off to 4.4. So at the moment, she's not gone clear. She's not been able to open up the gap. She's on the left of your screens at the moment, and the rest of the bunch comes up and round on the outside of her, and still a big sized pack to try and contain Rebecca Gilson. I think a very wise move at the moment by Jojo Bauer, just using that packet, using the whole of the group together to keep control. Still on a 3% climb here. Remember the climb going to top out here at 15.6 kilometers, I think it will be. So you can just see really pushing hard at the moment, just watching them make the way on here. So our riders continue to push here. Who's going to take this out? Who's going to take the win? We're going to see very shortly. We are now well into lap number 2 here on the Sunday Race Club. So Karut Quevedo, our next rider, tucked in nicely as you see the jet fly over the top of Bahrain. Looking good at the moment, though. This group still together. Real nervous game at the moment, and it's how long can you hang on in this group? How long can you hang on to the pack? Have you got the strength to answer the attacks? Not get distanced on the climb and not get fractured off the back of the group. And this is where maybe we needed a coach's insight. For those of you who maybe just joined us partway through the show, this is qualifying race number 3. We are currently 14.7k into a race of 35.6 kilometers. Our total height ascent is 440 meters, and that is made up of 4 laps, each of 110 meters climbing. Each lap has 4 main climbs on there, with the running 2.2k into the finish, containing a little bit of a rise over the sand dunes, as well as a kick into the finish. You can see it in front of you here. So we have our 4 main climbs on the way through each lap, but then from the top of the final climb, we've got 2.2k to run in, and you can see the uncategorized sand dune, basically, which has 2 steps on the way up. It then dips down into one of the very few flat sections, of course, and then we have that run into the finish, which is not very long at all. And that section, that run into the finish, it's only about 100 meters, is critical for our riders. They're currently at 15.2k covered. We've managed to see the whole of the group together, but now another attack is going, another push on the front, and Gilson has gone again. It's the black helmet of Gilson. She went at 7 watts per kilo this time. She's been ramping it up, and now we see a response. Elizabeth Van Heuling coming on across at 8.4. Maria Marin at 7.5. The same from Menenzi. We've seen kick in. Dagan Mashandi doing the same. Now, Gilson ramps it up to 9 watts per kilo. She's really trying to stretch their legs here. But remember, the riders want to come across with a group. They do not want to go across solo, but they can't afford to let her go. They need some numbers to contain Gilson, but we are seeing, I think, the resurgence of Elizabeth Van Heuling here, a known winner and somebody who can answer the attacks on the climb. Here she comes. She will make it, I think, 4, if not 5 riders in that front group. She's in 4th place at the moment. She's got company. Moreno's coming across. I think Embring is on her heels here. So another attack by Gilson and another attack that has been answered here today. Wow. More excellent racing here today as we come into we're at 16k at the moment. So we are now on the run down into towards that sand dune, that double step sand dune. This is the first step up at the moment. Then we'll level and then kick once again. And interesting to see Elizabeth Van Heuling kicking hard there. Was commentating actually on one of her family members on the Gravel World Championships, and if I can remember it correctly, it is a tenuous family connection, but it is Molly Van Heuling racing in the World Gravel Championships over in Veneto in Italy, and I think that is Elizabeth Van Heuling's husband's cousin's wife. If I've got it correct, I'm not going to promise I have because it's quite a tenuous link, but it's still a family link, and it is really interesting to see. And I think they both probably said the other's the more talented rider. I'm not sure. Both of them absolutely incredible riders, and great to see a real crossover of disciplines. And lots of these riders will ride on the track, on the mountain bike, on a gravel bike, on a road bike. Some people, though, very dedicated esports riders, and we see the names cropping up week in, week out on race after race. They are definitely the riders who are very at home on this platform, very at home, able to spin, able to respond to the game, to be able to take in all of that data that's available to them. Hermansen at the moment, we know, has got a heart rate of 167 beats a minute, Rev 62. We then can go across to Embling and see, well, higher pedal cadence up near a 90, 160 beats a minute tucked into this group. Coming up for that half-hour marker, we're approaching half race distance, and at the moment, this group on target for about an hour's racing here today on qualifier number 3 here at MyWhoosh on the Sunday Race Club. Leading group back together again. Now, this is a real intriguing race today. Nobody has been able to take it on from the front in a decisive move up till half race distance. And that is partly because it really does play into pack dynamics, into taking shelter. Our riders now onto this dress rehearsal for the finishing line. They're going to have 2 laps to go when they hit the line. This time it's half race distance. Our riders are just jostling a 4th position. They know that we're coming in to climb number 1 once again. And that summit of the climb should be coming about 18.2k into the race. So they know that they've now got about 500 meters or so to take it in up over the top. And we are starting to see riders disappear now. Elmira Del Rocchio was in that leading group, but that gap has opened up 20 seconds up to the group in front now, 9 seconds behind. And interestingly, Giarione has been distanced from the lead group here. So Martina Giarione, a rider who has taken repeated victories, has been distanced from the lead group, and the lead group contains category 2 riders. So a real turn up for the books, and Giarione are one of the hot favourites in category 2 for a reason, with a win last race, a second the race before that, a top 5 in the finals at the end of September, a win in the finals at the end of July, a rider who you would expect to be in the mix, but at the moment certainly looks to me like we're getting great rides here. I think Elodie Reynard in here in category 2. I think we've also got Julie Sanchez in here from category 2. Morgan Olsen is in this group from category 2 as well. Just taking a little bit of a run down this group. I think they are our key protagonists from category 2. So Olsen and Sanchez in here now. Bauer pushing hard here at the moment, just winding it up on the descent. Not letting it get too easy, and certainly it looks to me like that group is going to just slowly close it down. Gilson very, very quickly up into the mix there, and maybe getting a little bit of a taste of her own medicine. You can't relax when you are the hot favourite, because they're just everybody's out to get you. It doesn't make you paranoid. It just means that you are a blooming good rider, and the rest of the race is after you. The bigger you are, the harder they fall, and riders do love taking out race favourites. It's one of those things that just is an inevitable consequence, I think, of being a rider who takes win after win. Everybody's looking to you, and you are marked out. So one of the things riders sometimes will do is change the kit, change the helmet. If you traditionally riding a black helmet on here, maybe change it for a multicolored cap, a red bandana, something that will just change the look of your rider, and it can sometimes be enough to catch riders out. Now, in this group, a couple more of our second category riders in here, because we've got Elodie Reynard in here. Now, Elodie from France, another of our regular riders on MyWhoosh, one of our regular competitors who can finish right up in the mix. Top 10 in the category. In fact, every time she's ridden in the last 5 months, and that is some going. That's a great record. Best position to date, 2nd place, and that was on qualifier number 2 in June. So Catherine Furr now decides, let's see, can we wind this up? Can we take this on? Maybe sensing a little bit of weakness in the riders behind, she pushes on. Mandela Degamashandi, interesting response here from her. A rider who started off in category 2, moved up into category 1, now looking to close that gap down. You can see the numbers increasing behind as we're on this climb, and it's going to start breaking this group apart. I think it's starting to fracture. Look at that. The gaps are opening. So look at this. Fua's pressure is breaking it apart, and maybe this is going to be a case of the best defense against Gilson is to go on the offensive. So Fua, Maria, Marin, Degamashandi, Menendez, Embring, all starting to open this out, and look at the damage that's been done behind Catherine Fua. Great to see her back on form again. A really good rider, and somebody who has clearly decided, we're not just going to roll this in and let other people attack. I'm going to start to wind this up. I want this pace to be a little bit hotter all the way through. So Fua right in the mix. Marin, Degamashandi, Favedo, Embring all moving up, and the gaps have opened behind Liliana Moreno at the moment, down a couple of seconds on the back of the pack of Van Heuling and Gilson at the back of that group at the moment as they came up and over the top. So at the moment, Moreno having to close the gap down. Then behind it's going to be Antico, Sanchez, Olsen, and the majority of the Category 2 riders who are left in this group. That long, sustained push by Catherine Fuhr really has done some damage in this race, and it means we've got people like Liliana Moreno, a fantastic rider, now having to chase at 6.2 watts per kilo, and we can see her push comes once again. Riders continue to stretch it out. Bauer in the centre of your screen. Riders coming up again alongside now, and that pack has reformed. But that climb has shed almost all of the Category 2 riders. We're at 20.8k covered, and that means that we're in the flatter roads. We are going to be approaching our next climb. We're going to hit that at 21.8k, so about 800 meters. When we hit that climb, you can expect to see this race explode again, but the group has come together. So Marin Embring, Gilson, Caveda, Degamashandi, Bauer, Van Heuling in there. Just spotting a few more names. Looks like Moreno has made contact at the back. Fuhr in there. Ortiz just about to squeeze onto the back of that group as well. I think you could well see Antico make the jump, and Olsen, they're not that far behind this group, but this is that little bit of a rundown. If you remember your profile between the hills 2 and 3, between climbs 2 and 3, you've got a little bit of a run-in, but we're soon going to be turning left back on to our elevated roadways, the bridges that make up the climbs on this course. So we're in with Antico, and Antico in this group here. Now, this group is group number 2 on the road. It's our leaders in Category 2, plus the people who were shelled from the leading group in Category 1. So Stefania Sanchez in with Marlena Bjarhed in there, but our Category 2 leaders, Antico, Olsen, Sanchez, Reynard, all in the mix here. 4 Category 2 riders. They've got a 40-second gap on Hernandez behind, and that is telling now. So Group 1 on the left of your screen are Category 1 leaders. They're on to the next climb. Who is going to push here? Now we're starting to see a very quick wind up here as these riders decide we are going to work and we're going to really make this tough on the way up. It's been a really aggressive race so far, and we are on to our next climb. 37 minutes of racing done, 22k up covered. We're coming up for 2/3 race distance. Degamashandi, Menendez, Gilson, Van Heuling, Bauer really putting the pressure on here. You can just see the responses coming behind. This is about having the pace. Gilson now winds on the front. She's covered though by Van Heuling and Maria Marin. They are on that all over like a rush at the moment. There is no getting away. The moment that Gilson puts the pressure on, everybody is on an absolutely jumping straight on. And importantly, it's not one rider. It's a mass of riders. Because if you've got a talented rider, if you're up against Tadej Pogacar in the men's race, you aren't going to close it down. You are up against somebody like Anne-Marie van Vleuten in a women's race. You can't hold them back. Well, you've got to get on them because you've got to put numbers up there to close them down. And that is what's happening. They are putting numbers in, and quickly. They are not letting anybody get that gap to just time trial away. And this course does not suit a time trial effort. It suits a kick and a rest, a kick and a rest, a kick and a rest. If you want to know how important that is, make sure you go back and watch some of our other races. So when you've got a different course profile than you see on some of our previous Sunday race clubs, you'll see that the racing is very different in terms of how it develops and how it changes. And that is because of quite literally the race profile will change those race dynamics. Same is true in terms of the men's racing as well. But one of the great insights, make sure you have a listen to Emma, who is generally with us as my co-host on here, or hosting solo, and she will be able to give you all the technical info from the inside of the race, out a regular esports rider, DS, so a director sportive, and a lot of these riders will have a director sportive or a manager talking in their ear, telling them what's happening all the way through, doing that on Discord, giving that information out to the riders. You need to cover this. This is so-and-so. You need to cover that. No, let them go. They're going to blow. They're not a great sprinter. They're a fantastic sprinter. Don't carry them to the finish. All these details, you can't memorize anything. So if you've got somebody from your team who's not riding, then it's great to have them de-essing and being that director of sport, even making sure you know exactly what is happening. So I think information is going to be key as we run in. We're at 23.7k covered at the moment, and you can just see our riders on the left of your screen are our riders at the front of category 1. On the right hand side, they are the leaders in category 2. Alicia Antico, Morgan Olsen, Julie Sanchez in that group of 4 category 2 riders, along with Marlene Bjarhed in that pack as they go up on that right hand side with Elodie Reynard in the mix as well. Really great to see this battle here. It's come to 4 riders, so category 2 has thinned down a little bit quicker than category 1 on this climb, but they can't relax because they've got Lisa Hermansen behind, and she's got a lot of good strong riders behind. But I think they're going to catch some of the riders in front here if they're not careful, and that will actually swell the numbers of that group. That will help those category 2 riders as we go back to the race lead here. So once again, the wind-up comes. Once again, we see a black helmet making its way up to the front, and that's going to be Gilson. It is. So Gilson goes on the front again. Another 6+ watts per kilo, now over 7. She's pushing. How many times does she need to do this to snap the elastic? She's gone on pretty much every climb. The rest of the group need to work together here if they're going to pull her back. She's now got 2 seconds, but this is not a long climb. She's up on to the top. She's onto the descent and got a gap. It's at 4 seconds at the moment. She's got to push now. She's going to want to go clear, but we are coming around. Remember, we're now at 25 kilometers done just about as we come through. And we are coming in to that section that runs us into the finish. So we've basically got the sand dunes to come, the double step on the sand dunes. So we're going to turn from this descent. It will quickly turn into a rise. And Gilson is inside. This group are not letting her go. They may not be doing as many watts per kilo. They have got volume. They have got riders in there able to use the most of that draft, and you can see that draft effect. We're on a descent here. They're closing it down and they're doing less power, less watts per kilo. Now it changes onto the climb. This is when it's going to count. And again, Gilson knows that that tack did not pay off, but now we've got a double stepped climb and they are back together once again. But now comes the problem. If you were on the limit on the previous climb, you're not going to have recovered. You've got to push here. Cavado, Hewling, looks like they are rolling nearer to the back. They're going to need to get up on to the front. This group is reforming. 8 riders, 9 riders are back together once again. Wow, really interesting. Watch this racing unfold in front of us here on a Sunday, a race club here on MyWhoosh. Don't forget, guys, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Give it a click, give it a tick. Make sure you catch up with everything that's going on with the UAE men's and women's road teams, with MyWhoosh, the updates from Jeff Thoren and all of the gang about what's coming up, the launch of our new worlds, the videos, the previews on that, as well as all of our race coverage from myself, Matt Payne, and from Martin and all the team here as well. We are always looking forward to seeing you get in touch, whether that is on social media. Don't forget, of course, MyWhoosh is MyWhoosh on Instagram, Facebook, and my_Whoosh on Twitter. You can catch up with me. It's Matt Fixpain. That is on Facebook. It's also on Strava and on MyWhoosh as well. You can catch up with Biking Emma. It's at Biking Emma across pretty much every platform that you can think of. And of course, you can catch up with Full Speed Events. That's myself and Emma. If you want to get in touch with us, tell us what you're getting up to. What did your pain cave look like? How was that racing? What happened? Did we say that your legs exploded and actually you blew your bike into little pieces? Well, we want to know, so make sure you get in touch on social media at Full Speed Events as well. Give everything a like, a subscribe, a tick. Make sure you catch up with everything. Keep up to date. There's no point having this modern technology. You're not using it. It's a bit like riding on MyWhoosh with your eyes closed. There's so much data on here. There's so much information. Knowing how to use it is key, and that is going to be critical for our riders as they approach the end of their next lap. They're in the final 200 meters or so to go. This is the run into the finish. This is the final time they get to see it before they're coming in at the end of the race. Lap number 3 of 4 about to be completed here on qualifier number 3 on the Sunday Race Club. So here we go. One more lap to go. The bell rings for the final lap. We may well have to bring one of our cowboys down into the studio to ring it out for his one lap left to go now on this race circuit. And that means that there are less than 9 kilometres into the finish. And I'm really glad our producer diving across onto the right-hand side. Thank you so much, Rizal. He's on the screens and on the buttons at the moment. Chiara Donny. Chiara, one of the absolute superstars when it climbs. Putting in, I think, a ride that will get her a verified ride rather than necessarily ripping her legs to pieces on the climb. Chiara Donny, a really good climber riding from Italy and a regular rider on the platform. But at the front of the race, look at this. Who's on the front? Who's on the attack? It's Rebecca Gilson. She's at 6 watts per kilo. Has she snapped them? No, she hasn't yet. And this is a short climb. It's already starting to level out. So here we go. She's going to hit that descent. She's going to hit it first. You can just see that distance opens up. The group behind have volume. They have the ability to shelter. Gilson does not. She's worked hard. She's got the gap. She's now going to have to give up that gap because the rest of the pack are going to close her down, whether she likes it or not. Now, the smart money is that you ease off. You think, well, I'm stretched the legs. I made them work. I'm going to go reduce some more recovery. There's only a certain number of times I can do this. As we see them come down, Jessica Menendez goes through Dega Mashandi, Maria Marin, Elizabeth Van Hewlett, Karuk Convedo, Jojo Bauer, Maria Ortiz, all in the mix, along with Fua Moreno and, of course, Gilson. So, a real fight here. We have 9 riders in the mix. Moreno just off the pace by 15 seconds. That last hill just taking its toll. So that damage done by Gilson. It is shedding riders. And Moreno, they're going to be holding a top 10 position, I think, as they come through. Very quick transition on the end of this into our next climb. Our next climb starting at what is 28.1k. In fact, right where our leaders are now. And you can see that bridge coming up in front of them. That will take them up to 28.8. Another 700 meters of climbing, a very short climb. Meanwhile, right-hand side of the screen, these are our leaders in the Category 2 competition. We have 3 riders together. We have Julie Sanchez, Morgan Olsen, and Elodie Reynard. Those 3 riders will be fighting it out, I think, for the top 3 positions, because behind the gap is now over 30 seconds back to Elisa and Tico. And that means that in Category 2, that gap has really opened up. So Category 1 on the left, Category 2 on the right. They're the leaders of both our categories. We're on the next climb. And this time round, we're going to see another attack. Dega Mashandi goes early. So Mandana, Dega Mashandi, went early on this climb. She started to take the attack to Gilson. Gilson has gone with her, and now come the rest of the pack. Look at this. Van Hewlett going absolute on a flyer. Marin on a flyer as well. Convedo doing the same. They are all looking to close this down. They're going to start to get in to lapped riders as well, which is going to really mix things up here. So just makes things confusing for them. Almost as confusing for us on the screens. The advantage is we are not on our absolute limit, making sure that we are riding in contention of this pack. Remember, there are 5 financial prizes at stake. 5 lots of prize money going to go out in Category 1. Who's going to take that away? They are big, big prizes. If you want to know exactly how big, make sure you download the manual on the www.mywhoosh.com. Go on to events, click on the race, and it will tell you exactly all of the prize money on there. It's a great reason to download the manual, as well as knowing what you need to do to go and catch hold of some of that money. Remember, top 5 in Category 1 and Category 2 and Category 3 all getting prize money. So here we go. On to the descent. Our riders go. Convedo, Marin, Bauer, Dega Mashandi, Gilson, Van Hewlett, Ortiz in there. There are going to be some losers out in the final. Who will it be? We are starting to run tight on time. We are at 29.5 kilometers of 35.5k of racing. and our riders rocketing along. This is the fast, flat section where nobody really should be able to get away, but don't put money on it because we still have plenty of distance. And once we get close to the hills, we've seen speculative attacks on the flat pay off because the riders do it close enough to the climb to be able to make it stick. So here on Sunday Race Club, the riders together. This is your leading pack of Category 1 riders. They are moving fast. They're traveling at 38, 39 kph as they make their way along. That's 25 miles an hour or so. The riders in here, well, of them, the big favourite was Rebecca Gilson after her solo victory at the end of last week. Make sure you have a watch of that back. Jojo Bauer, the nearest protagonist to her. She managed to close it down initially, but we didn't manage to make it stick. But the attacks by Gilson have been patrolled out. Every time it has whittled the group down, we have seen rider after rider get into trouble as that pace takes its toll, as that constant attrition starts to wear our riders out. But you can see the big bridge in front of our riders coming up. That elevated roadway is going to test the riders as they come on to the climb. This is going to be the penultimate climb before we get into our final climb. But remember, we have those sand dunes, and had those sand dunes have a category, going to be in trouble. So we're coming in to the climb that is from second from your right hand side of your screen, basically coming up on that screen. That is about 4.5k in, but of course we're on lap number 4, and that means our riders now coming in. But that run in is critical. Big climb, steep climb, then the sand dunes, then the run into the finish with an uphill kick. We're at 30.7k. This is the start of the second to last designated climbs. It's the anti-penultimate, the one before the penultimate climb, if you include that big sand dune kicker that isn't a graded climb on the way through. So here we go, on to the climb we go. And remember, closer we get to the finish, the more likely you are to see the attacks come from the big favourites. Who's going to try and take a roll through this bunch? Who's got the pace? Who's got the power? With Darren Degamasheni on a great day here today. Gilson starts to move on the right-hand side, though. Gilson's attacking here once again. She's got up to 7 watts per kilo, but this is not a time trial effort style course. People are able to match her on these quick kicks at the moment. Time's running out on this climb for her, and they're all back on a wheel. We're at 31.1k now. As we go up on to this steep section, we've still got plenty of rise in this climb. As they come around here, it continues onwards when you come onto land once again. But I don't think anybody's got it in them to go clear at this stage. We're coming up on another group of back markers, another group of lapped riders. That means that we are going to see this group come through. It does give a little bit of respite to those on the front. It also can cause confusion, and this is where the riders have got to pay attention as they come in. They know that they are all Category 1 riders. They are not going to let anybody weave their way through and go clear. They're going to want to keep that pace nice and high as they go through them and not let anybody go. But at the moment, this is very tactical as they go over the top. Nobody has let the group fracture. Everybody was on the pace there. Everybody closing down very quickly. And Maria Marin and Madana Degamasheni on a serious ride here today. Two riders who really are searching for that win. I think they are both on storming form. A second place 2 races ago for Maria Marin. She's got a second, a third, and a fourth, which she'd dearly love to have a first place this time in and around. She's riding really strongly. A third place in the finals last time around for Madana Degamasheni as well. Have they got the power to contain Gilson? Can they take out all of these big regular top of finishing riders? People like Jojo Bauer, like Elizabeth Van Heuling, and of course Rebecca Gilson, who we're riding in with at the moment. They are holding them together. I think this is likely to come down to a sprint if we're not careful. That's going to keep it entertaining as they come through. So here we go. They've been pushing up to 6 watts per kilo. We're seeing it drop down to 2.5, 3, 4s as they take a little bit of a rest here. Will Ortiz be able to mix this up at the moment. They are really, really working well. And I'm not sure if anybody's got the power and pace. We're at 32.6k. We are about to hit our next climb. And when we do, expect to see fireworks. This is the last categorized climb, the last one marked on the maps as an official climb. We then will only have the sand dunes and that final finishing uphill sprint to go. So time is running out. If somebody wants to put in some kind of monster attack and thin this group down once more, or maybe break clear to take solo victory, they are running out of time to do so. Remember, we finish at 35.6k. We are at 32.8 now. So here on a Sunday Race Club, we're on to the climb. This is the final categorized climb, the final marked climb on the course maps. But remember, we've got those sand dunes as well. But surely we're going to see an attack on this climb. Are they really going to leave it to us? But can anybody snap the elastic to the rest of the riders? They are all attentive. They all know that this could come down to a sprint. Look at the watts per kilo. Nobody now is on less than 5 watts per kilo to stay in with that group. Everybody's having to push here. Gilson's on the front, but we're not seeing 7s, 8s, and 9s. I think everybody's too scared of putting too much in now and not having something left for those sand dunes. But we're just seeing riders squeezing hard as they come over the top. Madonna, Dega, Mashani, Karut, Cavedo are going to lead them over with Maria Marin. Look at this. It is a real group effort over the top. And that is because no one wants to let a gap go at this stage. Nobody wants to have worked for 33.5k and let a gap go. But Bauer is now pushing. She's pushed over the top. This is not a Bauer attack. Bauer can attack much more watts per kilo than this, but she's kept the pressure on. She's rolled over the top here and has kept that pressure on the group. She's now gone, I've just seen a 2.2 watts per kilo from Jojo Bauer. That is really interesting. She's clearly shut off the throttles enough so that she's not going to work too hard on the descent and coming in to this. This is the final step up. We've got 2 steps to go. This is the kick, and Gilson has carried pace. She came down there at 6 watts per kilo. She should come past that pace. She has done. Now the rest have to respond. That was so much about momentum. She basically, I think she put lead weights in her boots on the way down the descent to give her an extra ascent, because now she's carried that pace through. She's kicking, and they've got to respond. Maria Marin and Madonna, Dega, Mashani, Karut, Cavedo are all in the hunt here, but they've got to push. Can they close it down? Yes, they can. Now Maria Marin goes over the top. Oh, it's going to come down to a final sprint, surely. We're nearly at the top of this big final sand dune here. And the riders now are going to be thinking about what have they got left in their legs for a sprint. This could be a long attack out. I think those riders who have been smart, conserved their effort, not gone too hard on the attack, will have something left. But we have got a bunch of 9 riders contesting the finish of qualifying number 3 here on Sunday Race Club. Remember this run-in. We have this run down the sweeping right, a long sweeping left, and that little kicker up into the line. Who is going to take this? It's going to come down to that final sprint. Who's got the power? I'm not sure who my money would be on. They've got a lap riders on the way through. Remember, Gilson has been the rider to beat, but Maria Marin is on form. Are we going to see a new name on top of the standings here today? It's going to come down. We are into those final few hundred meters. Remember, it's 35.6k to go. We are on the level section. It dips, then rises, and that kick is going to come round this left-hand, long sweeping left-hand turn. We go. We're in with Madonna Dega Mashandi. Will she take away a win this time round? Who's got the kick? Gilson and Bauer are biding the time, as is Van Heuling. Now Gilson goes through. Has she got the power? Cavedo goes on the sprint with Gilson. They're side by side coming in. Gilson has the lead, but Cavedo's coming on the right-hand side here. Has Cavedo got anything more? She needs a few more watts. She's pushing on the side of Gilson. They're side by side. Karut Cavedo takes it. She takes it from Gilson on the line. Then look at that bunch sprint coming through. What a finish here on Sunday Race Club. Oh, my goodness. That was something else again. I'm sure there are legs in tatters. They're going to feel like their lungs are on fire. as they come over the line. They've got to keep on pedaling to keep that lactic acid flowing. Wow, here we go. This is our top 9 riders. So it is Karuk Quevedo who takes away a race victory here. And that is a fantastic sprint finish by 0.104 of a second from Rebecca Gilson in second. Maria Marin on a great ride, 0.314 down in third. Then it's going to be Catherine Fuhr in fourth. Maria Ortiz, another good ride by Fuhr and Ortiz there in fourth and fifth places. Jojo Bauer in sixth. Madonna Dega Mashadi in seventh. Jessica Menendez in eighth. And Elizabeth Van Heuling in ninth place. And you could see once that kick wound up, the top 6 riders coming through in essentially half a second of each other. Then a little bit of a gap back to Madonna Dega Mashandi, Menendez, and Elizabeth Van Heuling. What a finish. Now, here we go. This is our second category riders coming into the finish. This is the sprint. Sanchez has been dropped. She's 17 now, 18 seconds down. We've got Olsen and Reynard in the mix here. Olsen on the front. Reynard sat on the back wheel. She goes over the top here. We are still on that running. Remember, 400 meters to go. This could be a fantastic run, and it's going to be an amazing result for whoever takes this. Olsen has a win in the qualifiers before. Elodie Reynard has not had a win yet. Does Reynard want it the most? Surely she must. She's not had a win yet, but Olsen is on the front kicking now. Reynard has to answer the 7.7 watts per kilo coming from Morgane Olsen. Olsen has kicked. She's got the power. Second category win for Olsen. A second place for Elodie Reynard. Equal the best result yet. Another amazing ride by Reynard coming into form. And they are going to be 10th and 11th overall. And just as importantly, if not more importantly, they're going to take first and second category prize. Wow. Well, for all of the full results, make sure you go on to MyWhoosh.com. Quevedo taking the win. Karuk Quevedo with Spartan Obstacles in category 1 from Rebecca Gilson and Maria Marin. And then we've just seen Morgane Olsen taking the win in category 2 from Elodie Reynard, with Julie Sanchez just coming through the line behind. We've got more great racing coming to you next week. And don't forget, we are on our run in towards those finals. When we get to those finals, the team prizes will come into play. Next week, Emma will be back with me, but from myself, Matt Payne, from all of the team at MyWhoosh, thank you so much for watching. Thank you to our riders for entertaining us, and we will see you soon. See you next week. Bye-bye.